Hello, Fluffy52 here, back some more Magic the Gathering Arena action. Today we are playing Mono Green Stompy, green being one of my favorite colors. I enjoy trying to play it in Magic Standard. It's a little bit rough right now, but I wanted to check out the highest win rate build for Mono Green according to Untapped GG right now, and it includes a few new cards from the most recent set. Very excited for the upcoming set, which is going to be releasing this upcoming Tuesday, the 30th. But important cards to note that are in this highest win rate build according to Untapped GG. The build is played 240 matches with a 55.7% win rate. Includes 4 Ornery Tumblewags, which are these 3-drop 2/2s that at beginning of combat on your turn you put a +1 counter on target creature, and whenever it attacks while saddled you double the number of counters on target creature. So this plus Goldvein Hydra, you can double up your Hydra's counters and make a really big creature, or if you just have +1 counters on other creatures like Quirion Beastcaller. This gets a counter whenever you cast a creature spell. It can also distribute counters whenever it dies. So potentially it looks like this plays into some of the counter synergies in the deck. And then we also have Goldvein Hydra, this mythic from Outlaws of Thunder Junction. You pay X and a green and you make a XX. You put X +1 counters on the 0/0 Hydra that has Vigilance, Trample, Haste, and whenever it dies, create tapped treasure tokens equal to its power. So as long as our opponent doesn't exile this, we'll go ahead and get a bunch of treasure tokens, disposable mana for us to use on upcoming spells. Overall, this deck list seems pretty interesting. There's a lot of free copies of cards and 2 copies of cards, but hey, it has a pretty high win rate and over the course of 280 games, so I think it's pretty impressive. Let's go ahead and hop in some games and see if we can figure out what makes this deck win. Alright, this opener looks a little strange. I might try keeping it. We do have we have an okay curve between like evolving adaptive into Beastcaller into another evolving adaptive, and then we have a very cheap removal spell with hard-hitting questions. We have enough lands to cast our spells. The only problem I see with this hand is we're going to run out of gas really quickly, and it's a little bit like a bunch of small creatures. So if our opponent is able to sweep the board with something like temporary lockdown, we're going to be crying probably. Use my game for being a little stuttery here. Opponent has Kellen sleeves, or is that Annie joins up? Or not Annie. Annie Flash, I believe is the name of the character. Alright, our hand is alright. Opponent, are they going to remove the evolving adaptive in response? But yeah, I thought about playing through all like the highest win rates for each of the mono colors. So play like a mono white deck, a mono red deck, mono blue deck, mono black deck, and mono green deck. But funny enough, I don't actually have all the cards for the like highest win rate versions of each mono color. So, and I didn't really want to spend like mythic or rares on cards that potentially be rotating. It looks like our opponent is playing Gruul aggro, so this Picnic Ruiner, whenever they attack while having a power 4 or greater, it gains double strike. While having a creature that has power 4 or greater, it gets double strike. We don't really want our opponent keeping that because it can become lethal out of nowhere very fast. We're gonna go ahead and get rid of it, and then we'll just run all of our creatures out. Opponent probably does not have interaction with our board, so we actually kind of rolled a pretty good matchup here. Got lucky with our matchup a bit, in the sense that our opponent's probably not going to be playing a bunch of removal to deal with all of our threats. Honestly, I like the idea of just pushing as much damage as possible. They do get a card draw with this, because whenever a creature deals combat damage, if it just entered the battlefield that turn, they draw a card. Really good with Nimpa Call, which makes all those attacking gnomes. Flourishing Boomkin is going to make absolutely everything grow. And we go ahead and swing in. Keep pushing in that combat damage. And I think we will be winning from just laying out our stuff and swinging. The main decision we had to make was whether or not we wanted to block the Smut, and whether or not we would prefer to run out like an Evolving Adaptive and a Flourishing Bloomkin instead of removing their Picnic Ruiner, but obviously not too difficult. Monstrous Rage. The opponent goes out on their own accord using the Pain Land. GG's. Alright, hand's not bad. We have 3 drops and we have enough lands to play our 3 drops. Let's just hope our opponent isn't out too much of an aggro start. This is red, so that means that, or not red, orange. It is orange, so it means that we will actually be playing first, because I didn't really read the thing at the top, which is also another good thing when you're playing a aggro deck. It is interesting to me. I looked through the untapped stats for like each of the mono colors, and particularly for the blue mono color, the highest win rate, like most played deck, is the 0 rares deck that we've played on the channel a few times. Oh, that's a pretty good 3 drop. We get our 1 mana 2/2 with the Cenote Scout that explores, helps you just find lands off the top, and then it can also just be a 1 mana 2/2, which is pretty good. Because if you roll into a hand of like 3 1 mana 2/2s, that's 6 power on the board turn 2. So you play 1 turn 1, you play 2 turn 2. That's a pretty fast, ends up being a pretty fast block. Go ahead, get the Ornery Tumblewagg out here onto the battlefield, and then put counter on the Cenote Scout so we can try and keep swinging in. Though admittedly, we could still double block the Denick potentially if they wanted to swing in with Denick. This is gonna be hard. The opponent's probably playing Esper Legends here, and they can gain a lot of life, which is a bit problematic for us. Right. 2 mana up, they could counterspell or they could remove in response. Looks like it's going to be remove. I think we just got to keep pushing as much damage as possible. It'd be nice to be able to like hold back something so the opponent can swing in with their Denick, but if they swing in with their Denick, they're presumably going to take a bunch of damage the next turn. Is this saddle too? Okay, there was an opportunity to saddle there and deal 1 extra damage, or actually a bunch more damage, because we could brood with the Evolving Adaptive and double the counters on the Cenote Scout. That's the first misplay here. See if this 2 life will make a difference. We're going to play our creatures out before we go to combat. Part of the reasoning is normally you don't want to do this, because if you have like a better creature in your hand, it means they're more likely to remove whatever you have on board currently, and therefore more likely that your higher value creature that's in your hand gets to stick around. But we will go ahead and target the Cenote Scout with the map. The land wouldn't be terrible, I don't think. Go with Throat. Okay. Next, combat. Do we want to saddle? You can only saddle at sorcery speed, so this means on your main phases. We'll go ahead and saddle with a Sentinel of the Nameless City. Why not? Then we'll go ahead and attack in with the Tumblewagg and the Evolving Adaptive. It would be great to distribute the counters just in case your opponent has another removal spell, but very mastermind, so we choose to double block here. Do we want to get rid of Denick? They can play it as like a flyer next turn because it has Disturb, 4 mana. So we can play it out of their graveyard. Or we would prefer to get rid of the Fairy Mastermind. Let's get rid of Denick. Because then they tap out to play Denick rather than like Shield Druid or Rafine, which are all serious problems as well. And Denick gives them a bunch of life. Yeah, nothing they can do there. We stomp it out again. Alright. We have a 4-drop in our hand with 2 lands, but we go second, so we might draw into more lands. Overall, this hand I think is okay, because we have things to do turn 1, turn 2. There's only 1 spell in our hand that we can't cast with our current number of lands. Though hard-hitting questions depends on what creatures they choose to play. They're playing the bats. Hard-hitting questions is really good into the Deep Cavern Bat, because otherwise in green you don't really have anything to deal with the Deep Cavern Bat. It's just literally 2 mana, 1/1 flyer with lifelink that removes a card from your hand. If the opponent chooses to never block with it, you've never seen that card again. So I kind of understand why the deck is running hard-hitting questions. You're playing a kind of low to the ground-ish aggro deck. Some cheap removal is generally going to be a bit helpful. I mean, Mono Red has play with fires that they can also send at creatures that they often do. Mono Red is pretty fast. It looks like our opponent might not even be here. Hey man, I would not complain about a free win. I'm going to remove that because we really need to get to these lands. Because otherwise our hand is looking a little suspect. Alright, it doesn't make me happy to do this, but I think we got a hard-hitting questions, the Swiftspear. And then they're playing Mono Red. They're always kind of on a clock to finish off the opponent, I feel like. And we don't have any life gain in the deck. But I'm tempted not to attack here just in case they plan to play out another Swiftspear or something and have nothing to back it up. Ren's Resolve. Big fan of that card. Alright, Ornery Tumblewagg. It's gonna look a little awkward, but I'm gonna put the counter on the Ornery Tumblewagg just so that they can't shock it to death. And we're not gonna be blocking. I don't really want to trade the Cenote Scout. No. If you have a singular spell or pump spell, we die. Or our Tumblewagg dies. Yeah, play with fire. That's why I pumped the Tumblewagg. Ooh, Feral Encounter. I am actually in love with this card, even though it's an absolute like bundle of words. I think it's pretty good because it's a 2-for-1 in green. You remove something and you potentially find another creature. That's why I actually enjoy the card. Though I think what I will do, this is probably the most optimal way of handling the situation. This. Go ahead. Giddy up. Do we want to push more damage? Or do we want to set up our Sharp-Eyed Rookie as like a solid blocker? I think I'm going to do this. Get the Sharp-Eyed Rookie out of bolt range. It's a vigilance creature, so we can use it on offense and defense. So pumping it up here I think is worth. That might be a little bit overkill and a little bit defensive way of playing this game out. But go ahead, play a Sentinel of Nameless City. and smash. Doomskar Warrior is another kind of nice 4-drop in green. Well, not another, but is a nice 4-drop in green. Our opponent probably has a bump spell. And we're threatening lethal. If we don't choose not to block. Not like this turn, but I think we are in the beatdown situation. And we can also do this. Barreling counter, look at top 5. You can choose whether or not you want to exile one of these. So you can decline if there's nothing that you can cast with your open mana. In this case, we do have something that we can cast with our open mana. So go ahead and choose to exile it. And then at the beginning of your combat, you may have something bite your opponent's creatures. Deal damage equal to its power. GG's, another stomp. Alright. This hand, a little sad because we don't have like the lands to cast our things, but I'm tempted to keep it just because we have the 1-drop, 2-drop, and if we draw into a 3rd land, we have the Ornery Tumblewagg, which goes pretty well. Tumblewagg, very similar to a creature that used to make mono white a bit of a staple. It was called Luminarch Aspirant, I think it was. And it just said at the beginning of combat on your turn, put a +1 counter on target creature. So the 1/1 for 2, but you know, pumping up your board every single turn can get out of hand. Opponent has the slick shot show off, so this one might be the first loss in the book because we don't have anything to deal with it, and it's gonna hurt, and hurt a lot. Opponent has the Rend Resolve and grows their slick shot with casting it. 1 minute open. Interesting. Don't think it matters what land we play. They do not kill the Quirion Beastcaller in response to that, which is good. I think we are best off putting a counter here and then attacking and then hoping they don't pump their Kamano. It's not really a great strategy, but does Axebane Ferox finish the job if they attack in with everything and don't kill us? They have something in their exile that they can cast. Gives +1/+1 menace trample. They put it on the Kamano. Can't stop that. They have a Phoenix Chick. Alright, so we have... How much damage do we have? We have a lot, I think. Because we got 4 + 4 + 4 + whatever this is. Yeah, we have lethal. No need to count. Play this. Go to combat. Tumblewagg puts a counter on something. 4 × 3 is 12, +3 is 15. Opponent is dead. Stomped him out. Let's go. Alright. That last game, it was a bit questionable where to put the counter that we got from the Tumblewagg. I put it on the Tumblewagg just because I didn't want them shocking it to death, but at the same time, like it wasn't like the Tumblewagg was going to function as a blocker per se. I don't know. This hand looks alright if we can hopefully find those lands. Cenote Scout should help. Land, don't mind that. And that's Axebane Ferox. Pretty good card. We have a Goldvein Hydra that we could play potentially to help us cast our 4-drops if we never get there. Oh my goodness, this is scary. Opponent is playing Selesnya Enchantments. Selesnya Enchantments, a crazy over-the-top aggro deck, because they can pump things up very easily with things like Generous Visitors that give counters whenever we cast enchantments, and they can give them trample with the 1-mana enchantment in green called Audacity. So if they play like, and also Michiko's Reign of Truth is pretty good, but thankfully they only have 1 enchantment so far, but that's still additional pump. We will not be blocking. Alright, I will play the Tumblewagg. Put it on the Beastcaller. I probably should have played out the Hydra, maybe, just that we had a big creature. We're not going to be able to block in a way that I think we like, so I'm just going to swing in with the Beastcaller. Pull back the Cenote Scout as a potential blocker because it's not going to be really doing much. It's not that much damage attacking in, and it's better at blocking a massive creature. Gruul can give something unblockable to a particular color. That's a big problem. Do we let the Generous Visitor through? Opponent is fizzled out a bit. We could double block the Generous Visitor, try and get rid of it. I didn't really expect them to have Scroll, which didn't really trigger any of their visitors. And if we kill the visitor now, they can't, like, it's one of our few windows to do so. So it's not, I would have preferred to do this some other way, but as long as our opponent doesn't have like a pump spell, don't mind trading their massive creature for one of our massive creatures. You swing in with Doomskar Warrior, or sorry, not, put the backup counter, giving this ability to our Quirion Beastcaller, allowing us to look for like more creatures and lands. That could be good, and then we have the Doomskar Warrior as a blocker. We want to develop our non-pacey threats, I think, as well. This gives our Quirion Beastcaller a trample, which is also important, so they can't effectively chump block it. Gives it trample only for the turn, but get a good look here. We can find, I think we just go for another land. There's no Doomskar Warrior to give our thing trample again, so I think we just go for a land. Next turn we can play maybe the Goldvein Hydra for 4 equals 4. Okay, stomped them out. Their hand, not very enchantment heavy, so they didn't pop off quite as hard as I was expecting, but a win's a win. Oh my. We go first, 4 lands, but I see a Flourishing Bloomkin, which can be a really big 2-drop. Cenote Scout can hopefully prevent us from drawing too many more lands. And yeah, we have a pretty good 1, 2, 3. That's a better 2, I think. It's got Vigilance, and it will grow and give us counters if we play the Bloomkin next turn. Opponent plays a Triumph, Bant Triumph, so they could be playing Bant Control or they're playing Domain. Trying to think of whatever. I guess they could be playing Legends. It's another kind of multicolor deck, but I feel like with that deck, you're a bit more like aggro deck-esque, and so less likely that is the situation. Tumblewagg. If we Tumblewagg, we can play the Bloomkin and Beastcaller next turn, which should work out well as like a nice double spell sequence. So we'll grow the Beastcaller, and then the Bloomkin entering will have 3 toughness because we have 3 forests. It gets +1 for each forest, so we get 3 forests that will grow our Sharp-Eyed Rookie. And we get a counter to put on Cenote Scout, so it can get pumped up pretty big by this Tumblewagg. Potentially, if we saddle the Tumblewagg. Saddling is only gives an effect when it attacks. Go for the Tumblewagg, so we still keep our 3 power creature, which is kind of nice. Leyline Binding is a little unfortunate. The opponent could also be playing the Invasion of Laura deck. Again, a little awkward here having to play your creatures before you attack, but that's just kind of thing that you often have to do with these current mono green cards because they care about creatures being cast or entering the battlefield to give power-ups. So Beastcaller, when you cast a creature spell, it gets a counter. Sharp-Eyed Rookie, whenever it sees a creature with higher power and toughness, it gets a +1 counter and investigate, so you get a clue token. Opponent, I think they are dead. That is another stomp. Oh my. Look, I don't want to say it, but I feel like we're running a little too well here, and we're due for a loss. This is a bad keep. But I'm hesitant to mulligan, particularly because we're going first, because then you go down a card. And our hand isn't completely, like, unplayable. It's just no 1-drop. Uh-oh. We're against Orzhov Lifegain. What does Amalia's ward cost? I think it's pay 3 life, which is fine. Human Veteran, and then a cut down. No cut down. Okay. Do we care about the Luminarch Veteran? Thing is, if we go for like a hard-hitting questions, we risk seeing our Sharp-Eyed Rookie removed in response because it says target creature you control deals damage equal to its power to target creature or planeswalker you don't control. So if the opponent removes your creature in response to the hard-hitting questions, or question, I guess it is, does not resolve. That's why Feral Encounter is kind of nice, because as long as you have a creature, when it comes combat, you still get that bite effect. It doesn't... I mean, I guess they can remove the creature that you bite with in response. Okay, well... in an effort to do something on this turn, we'll do this, and then cast the Cenote Scout. Happens, we play Cenote Scout. Beastcaller, I like that. There's probably an argument to be made for removing the Beastcaller off the top of the deck just because it's not a huge threat. Creature the Schism is a tough one for us here. Problem with Feral Encounter, you can't cast it second main phase to deal damage because it deals damage when you go to combat. We can't like attack in, have our opponent block with a Schism, and then fight it for the additional tomb damage, which is something you could do with the hard-hitting questions. I think we hold on to the Hydra. One's gonna be able to draw a card by attacking with the creature. I mean, I don't think we block here, and I think this game is in a life support mode here. Let's see if we can hit a Flourishing Bloomkin. Nope, that's not gonna work. I mean, it's better than nothing, but This is definitely not what you want to see. I mean, I guess we could Feral Encounter a second time, but double Feral Encounter to get rid of the Schism when they're about to probably play another creature that's problematic is rough. I mean, if we get a creature next turn, we can remove the Preacher Schism then. So I think this is the best option. Really don't want to run out the Goldvein Hydra just for one, so yeah, I don't think it's worth. I'm glad this deck is only playing 2 copies of Goldvein Hydra because we don't really have a huge top of the curve threat such as like Nissa. Oh no, that's so bad for us. I mean, we'll put the counters on this because, or the counter on this. Why not? But I'm just gonna do this. We're gonna pay for go attack, and then we can hold back both of them to double block, threaten the double block if they go for attacks. It's bad. That's another must remove threat. Can get rid of the voice of the blessed with our Feral Encounter, thankfully. Okay, this is risky, but if I have a cut down, it goes bad, but alright, Feral Encounter. This is your time to hit good. Okay, that actually works. Huge. Oh my goodness. Death Touch is going to save us here. Opponent sees the writing on the wall. Death Touch means it doesn't really matter its power, but us casting this Tumblewagg and giving it a counter would have also killed the Voice of the Blessed there. Holy moly, there is no way we won that. That was a Feral Encounter win through and through. If we did not have that Feral Encounter, there was no way we won that. I love this card. It's card draw and removal in the same card for 2 mana. Really strong. It just... I'm interested... I do kind of see why there's only 2 of it in the deck though, because if you draw multiples, it gets less good. I mean, it's still 2 mana removal, sorcery speed, but yeah, it's the Mishra's Foundries. I'm surprised there's 3 Mishra's Foundries in the deck, but hey, maybe they're gonna come and save the day for us today. We're Goldvein Hydraing here instead of casting the Tumblewagg because the opponent probably has another removal spell. And they do. And that ramps us. It allows us to cast a Feral Encounter potentially. Oh. Okay, so this is one of the few green creatures that actually has a somewhat decent ward in standard right now. All the black creatures always seem to have like the sacrifice. They have an edict?
I take no joy in this.
Does this deal damage to planeswalkers?
Deal with this annoyance.
No, creatures only. Well, perfect. Goodbye, Sorin. Wanna play the removal game? I'll play the removal game. Can't cast the feral encounter, so I'll get rid of one of them. And green falls apart. Not the best time to draw a Goldvein Hydra. I would have preferred a forest, but at the same time, it's actually still, I think, one of the best top decks we could have asked for. Okay, we make 0 treasures because its power is negative, and we lost. Alright. Land. And opponent. For the love of everything that is good in this game, please let me do something for once. It's a forest! Oh my goodness! Can you believe it? Okay. 5 removal spells drawn. Oh, 6, my bad. 6 removal spells. Gonna feral encounter so we can maybe get rid of the vampire. Or is it better to Ferox? Let me go and Daxbane Ferox. Because next turn we have a guaranteed way of killing the vampire. Okay, guaranteed. In parentheses. I mean, yeah, we have to use Force. Oh, yes, Lunkin. Huge. Can't really activate the can start reanimating our creatures is the only annoying thing here. Do we lose to a virtue is my question. Oh my god, it's a fair. Yes, we do. I feel like we can't block here. Okay. Only works on target attacking assembly worker. Well, lesson learned. You cannot pump +2/+2 if it's a blocking. I'm going to win. Gosh darn it. Honestly, I should have targeted the Axebane Ferox and then exiled as many creatures as I could. That was a missed opportunity. Because you can collect evidence, total mana value for greater. So I could have exiled almost everything from my graveyard. Ah, come on. I am dumb. And I could have gotten rid of their Axebane Ferox. Now you're just trolling. I trolled too hard. I trolled too hard. Oh yeah. If I exiled all those creatures, there was actually a chance. That would have been crazy. So they would have gotten the Ferox back, but yeah. Apparently, removal plus removal plus removal plus removal plus removal, and then just a virtue wins you the game against us. Ay. Ah, the age-old tale of green folding to removal. Alright, opponent, no removal this time, please. We are on such an impressive win streak. Sure. Another 2-drop. Uh-oh. Wait, our opponent's playing Temur lands. Oh my goodness, I don't know if there's a way we win. That might sound a little bit fatalistic, but Lands deck is so... It's not a bad deck when it draws its sweepers. And they played it turn 2 Aftermath Analyst anyways. Yeah, that's not very useful. Glad I played that because I would have been pretty upset not hitting a land. Didn't attack in because they could just jump block the Analyst and it wouldn't even die. Oh no. Nissa is bad news. I mean, we're getting stonewalled by Aftermath Analyst and Nissa Resurgent. I am so looking forward to this card come Bloomburrow. I have so many things, or like there's a really cool like kind of Jund deck that I want to make with Nissa. We're getting back Fabled Passage, which if you don't know what Fabled Passage is, it's a basically Evolving Wilds. It's a land that you can play it, tap it, sacrifice it, find any basic in your deck, and then if you have 4 or more lands, it comes in untapped, or rather it untaps itself. So with it you can play like multicolored decks, and it basically just helps multicolored decks and your lands enter untapped later in the game. And if you play this with Nissa, that's a great way of triggering Nissa twice, and then Nissa says if you resolve it, or like the second time it's resolved its ability, it goes and finds an elf or elemental. And we've got a lot of cool elementals from Bloomburrow. Notably, one of them that I think will be pretty funny is the Sunspine Lynx. Okay, maybe it won't be pretty funny, but it's a 4-drop in red. That's a 5/4. It says players can't gain life, damage can't be prevented. Not gaining life is pretty important because it means, you know, like the Orzhov Lifegain deck will have trouble into it. Damage can't be prevented. That's not really relevant in most of standard. And then the last part of the card, which I haven't mentioned yet, is when it enters the battlefield, each player takes damage equal to the number of non-basic lands they control. So a lot of decks are playing non-basic dual colored lands to help with their mana bases, and it will hopefully, well, it should do a good job of punishing that, which will be kind of funny. No, I forgot to freaking saddle it because it's sorcery speed, and I... Well, I might as well just concede. I was too busy rambling about Bloomburrow, but if I saddled it, I would have doubled up the number of counters on this and then swung with all 3 of these. Doesn't matter. The game's probably going to be over next turn anyways. But there's also a few other cool cards that kind of work well with Nissa. Well, that I think you can put Nissa along with them. There is a 1-mana black lizard that says whenever land enters the battlefield under your control, it deals 1... Wait, we get another turn? I cannot punch? Yay! Okay. I'm not messing this up. We get a counter. We put the counter on Cenote Scout and then double the number of counters on Tumblewagg. Just that it doesn't die. I mean, they're just going to sweep her next turn, so maybe we just push for as much damage as possible. Yeah. We're not pushing lethal anyways. If we doubled up number of counters, that would be 5 damage there. 5 plus 3 is 8, plus 3 is 11, plus 3 is 14. Yeah, we would only push potentially 17, and that's if they didn't block. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Aftermath Analyst? Please no Aftermath and oh, we lucked out. Nissa is a huge miss for them. Oh no, that's a lot of mana. But they don't get another look. And they do not have a what was it called in the graveyard? Memory Deluge. So they can't search through their library a bunch. Big card for this deck. Memory Deluge. I would love the Temur's Lands deck if it wasn't such an annoying deck to play and play against. I kind of like Landfall, but I don't know. I've said that like Scoot Swarm was like one of my favorite cards from previous standard. Yeah, there's the sweeper. They did it twice. That's not good. Because that means they're digging. Some creatures live. Wait. Okay, I was about to say. They didn't discard, so our creatures aren't dead. They have like all the lands out of their deck, so they're going to find... They should be able to find a way to win next turn. I mean, heck. I think it's still in our best interest to run these out. And then maybe we win next turn if they don't remove them and don't kill us. But I feel like they just play Virtue of Persistence and they play the World Soul's Rage right at our face. Oh, that's good. They did not have what they needed. The kill spell. So they're gonna have to keep digging. No way. No way. Okay. Now we have a problem. Problem is It did not. Roll actual way to kill our opponent. They have a bounce spell? Okay. I think our best course of action is play, trigger this map, hopefully find a forest, play it, and that pumps up both our Bloomkins. Feral Encounter. Don't think that's what we need. Yeah, if that was a land, we could have actually potentially killed, because then we play the land, that land could allow us to activate Mishra's Foundry and attack in. And then that would have been 9 plus 2. No, still 1 off. Yeah, that's game. There's no way they look through like the top 20 cards of their deck and don't find the kill spell. Okay, now you just like seeing big numbers, don't you? Yeah, 40. Is what it is. I'm playing one last game here to make it an even 10 games. We're currently 7-2, though we've lost our last 2 matches. Will it be another loss, or will we get to be able to end with a very impressive record? I feel like we probably should have lost more than we did, but moment of truth. The opponent's probably playing mono blue Haughty Djinn. I mean, when you see 2 islands in a row, it is a little bit interesting. Phantom Interference. Pretty good counterspell, because in the late game you just make things to actually finish off the game. So you're not completely a do-nothing deck, you're just mostly a do-nothing deck that says no. Opponent lets the Tumblewagg go through, which is strange. Now this is one of our less fun matchups because the opponent has bounce spells, so any creature that we put a bunch of counters on and grow to a large size can be returned to our hand, which is less fun. Blue is getting some very powerful cards in the upcoming set. They have a 4-drop that is turning, or basically discounting the blue pips in their spells, as well as generic pips by the number of flood counters they have on islands. And when it enters the battlefield or attacks, they get another flood counter. And then they have Haughty Djinn. That card's reasonable. Bounce spell. Fading Hope. My arch nemesis. No, I forgot the crew. If we crewed, it would have been 6 damage and would have been 6/6. It would have doubled, put the counter on, and then doubled. Man, fire me. This is a lesson learned in crew your dang mounts. Saddle them. We have a potentially pretty nasty turn, but imagine them casting Consider for free. Okay, Consider's rotating out, but casting like a counter spell for free on your turn. No islands untapped, just a straight up free spell. Oh man, I think the fact that we didn't double the number of counters on the Tumblewagg means we're losing this game. That is so sad. That is like the saddest thing ever. I may be able to salvage it here, but I don't think it's actually gonna happen. Remember, saddle your dang mounts, people. Two counters on something and then double it. If I put two counters on this and then double it, it'll be 6 damage plus 4 damage. That's not lethal, so we do just have to put the counters on the Tumblewagg and then double it. If I put two counters on it, double it, or a counter on it, and then double it, it goes up to 6 counters on it, so it's 8 damage plus 3. That's not enough, so yeah, we just gotta go full hog on the one Tumblewagg, and they're just gonna bounce spell it. Well, it was a great time. Or they just march a Swirling Mist and then they completely fog an attack for like 1 mana because they can exile their entire hand to stop it. I hate OTJ. Oh. You know what I'd like Wizards of the Coast to do more with green? Give green creatures meaningful protection, more of them. Because heck, if we're not allowed to do anything with other people's creatures without having creatures on the board, can you at least make your creatures actually stay on the board a reasonable amount of the time? Okay, well, that last match was somewhat close. I don't think even if I saddled it, assuming they had at least one more interaction and spell in their hand, I think we would have still... I don't think we would have been able to finish them because they phase out one of our creatures. We still don't get to 13 damage in time. Yeah, I don't know. I enjoy playing green, but man, oh man, it is so annoying that everything you do is dependent on having creatures on the battlefield, and then your creatures are like not even the best creatures for like out of all the colors, and they don't even have good protection. Black has better protection when they have like ward, discard a card, or ward, sacrifice a creature. The best we got is pretty much Axebane Ferox, ward, collect evidence 4. That's not an easy ward to pay for, but still. That's enough of me complaining about the balancing of colors. Green, is it good? We ended 7-3, so it's pretty good. I do think we got pretty lucky. You saw towards the end where we were losing a bunch of the matches. I think we do have a good matchup into mono red a fair amount of the time, as long as they don't draw enough of their kind of spot removal spells with their play with fires and stuff that they have to direct at our creatures, because play with fire hitting your Quirion Beastcaller that is about to grow to be your big massive threat for just 1 mana is very hard to come back from, because then they just out-tempo you. They play their flying bird wizards and stomp you down from the skies, or blow you up from the ground, or burn you to the face. But anyways, hopefully you enjoyed the video. Have a nice morning, evening, night, afternoon, wherever and whenever you're watching. Ciao.